it was a very beautiful experience, with being able to come together. And we kind of hope that people will consider that. But we also keep reminding people of the importance of being safe. So not feeling and if you want to come to think it over very carefully, talk it over with your family, make sure that this is the right thing for you, because it's not only your health and safety, it's also the people that you live with. So you have to keep that in mind. So I don't know if all the guys were on hand. Our seminarians were a great help to us too. There was a lot to do before and after Mass, and they were out there helping us with the safety guides, getting things in place. So if they have any observations they want to share, and likewise, we'd like to hear from some of you who are there. If there's something we need to know, if there's something that we overlooked or something that maybe we could do better, that would be good to know. So any other observations? No?
I can mention something. It's Nancy. I have to say that last week, meeting Mike Duder outside the 10 o'clock Mass, everything was really organized. He had his clipboard. And then as soon as we came up into Mass, there were greeters there, and it was very comfortable. And, he let me know where to sit, and every other pew was marked off for safety. I had plenty of room. There was plenty of room there for everybody, just to kind of ease your worries. We were able to social distance more than 6 feet. It was a great feeling just to be back again. Laurie and I were talking that, I started to cry when I walked in, because especially the way it was decorated with all the red for the season, and it was so beautiful. But everything from beginning to end was perfect and well organized. And so those of you that are thinking of coming back, and if you're wondering if it's safe or what it looks like, I recommend you can come back. It was really well done. Thank you to everybody.
All right, thank you, Nancy. That's very helpful. Yeah, it really was a beautiful experience. Anyone else that was at Mass that wanted to share what it was like?
So there was a little bit of a Facebook glitch. I don't know if people are able to join. They've updated Zoom, and it looked like they did something different to Facebook too. So hopefully it's at least being recorded that people can watch later. But it looks like there's only about 10 people, but I can't see any comments from the viewers. I don't know what's going on. Sorry.
Okay.
But just to reiterate what Nancy said, I thought it went a lot smoother than I was expecting. I didn't know what to expect, and I just thought you all did a very nice job. Eloise, did you want to say something? Go ahead. Hold on.
Yes, I just wanted to say at St. Thomas, I also thought it was well organized. I was concerned with receiving the Eucharist, how that was going to work, especially using my hand to remove the mask, but it worked perfectly. There was no problem. Only problem I have was the wind blowing the pages on the missal. That's all. Otherwise, I thought it was very well organized.
Jeremy had your back.
Yes, he did. Thank you, Jeremy.
You're welcome. And so for the live stream Mass tomorrow, as we've been doing, we're going to be alternating that. So tomorrow that will be live streamed from St. Thomas. So we'll be going back and forth every week. Over the weeks that we've been doing that, we found it was really, I remember the first time that we did it in church, not in the chapel, how much people appreciated that. And so we want to have that opportunity for people to see their own church, which is also why we are having Masses in both churches. The Archdiocese suggested that in some collaboratives, they may want to stay with one church, but we felt it was really important to try, to offer Masses in both of our churches. And I think people have appreciated that. So we'll continue to do that, keeping in mind that in July, our place will change. The 4 o'clock will come back to St. John's, and the 8 will go over to St. Thomas. So, we'll keep you appraised of that as that happens. But in the meantime, the next couple of weeks, the beautiful celebrations. This weekend is the Feast of the Most Blessed Trinity. And then the following week, Corpus Christi, the body and blood of the Lord. And if you weren't at the Mass, I don't know whether, Dennis, you want to say something again? The whole hour, we've been kind of talking and thinking and praying over how to respond to what's happening in our country. If you live in Peabody, like other communities, there have been protests. I spoke with the mayor yesterday, and we would like to do something in the community, but I think a lot of us are fearful that sometimes what happens in these protests is that there are activities that go on. There are people who are there who are really not there for the right reasons. And that really, unfortunately, takes away from the purpose of people coming together to honor those who have, for George Floyd, for his family, and other people who are suffering. And so we would like to do something. So as that works out, we'll keep you informed. But we thought as a faith community, we should do something, and Deacon Dennis had an idea that we're going to go with. So Dennis, you want to go?
Yeah, so the idea that we kind of came to was we wanted to do something to provide an opportunity for prayer for people during this time. Because, we can always pray at home. There's a lot of merit in that. But I think there's something unique about coming together as a community to intentionally pray for something, and especially in the presence of our Lord. And so we wanted to do this holy hour, this hour of adoration, specifically with the intention of praying for peace, for justice, and for conversion. And especially during this time of unrest, I think it's something we can all benefit from in some way or another. And so we wanted to just have an opportunity just to have this holy hour. You're free to come if you want. And we recommend all the same things that we would say for Mass. Come if you're able, if you feel it's a prudent decision to be able to come, following all the same guidelines as Mass. Just to be able to come to the church to pray specifically for this intention. And if you can't join us in the church, it will also be live streamed. So you can turn on your computer, log onto Facebook, and be able to join us virtually for adoration as well. So if you can come, the sign up for that, we're not using Sign Up Genius for this just because of how short of a notification we gave to this. And so we're going to use a Google Doc that's posted on St. Thomas Facebook page. So if you want to come, please sign up on that Google Doc. We at St. John's, we're able to accommodate 120 spots. That's not necessarily 120 people, but that's 120 spots that are marked out in the church for people to be able to come. That could be groups of 2 or 3. And so if you want to indicate on the Google Doc, at least one person put down their name and the number of people that are attending, so that we can make sure that distancing can still be maintained, while also knowing the maximum amount of people that we're able to accommodate. So I encourage you, if you can, just to come. It will be an hour of silent adoration, just to be able to be in our Lord's presence, be able to turn to Him during this time for peace and guidance.
And again, just opening that up to you, what you think we can do as a church. So on our website, and also I think on our Facebook page will be a video message, as well as a text from Cardinal Sean about what's happening in our country and how we can respond as people of faith. So I encourage you to watch that, to listen to that if you have. And so this is not something that's going to go away. In fact, what we're becoming aware of is how deep, within our culture, is racism, which takes on many different forms. And so it's an opportunity for us to realize we have something that as a nation we've had to deal with for a long, long time. And so it's something that calls for our attention, for prayer, for reflection, and Dennis used the word conversion because that's really what it is. a conversion of heart in each of us and in the hearts of our fellow countrymen. So we need to work on that together. So we're open to, your ideas and thoughts about how we can respond as a community. Father Kevin has been teaching the students over at Bishop Fenwick and doing Catholic teaching. So there's a wealth of teaching on the part of the church. We just need to make that available to people, so that we understand, what our position is and what we're called upon to do. So I think we need to, that's something that will be with us for a long time. So like other things we said, one of the reasons for this virtual coffee hour is for you to let us know how you're doing. I'm sure, like us, you see these disturbing images on television, and it's very upsetting. And it comes at a very difficult time. I mean, we're very vulnerable now because of the coronavirus, feeling that the threat of a physical illness. And now we're seeing that there's a social disease that is infecting us as well. So we need to do what we can about that.
And one thing I kind of want to throw in there, just in our experience of all this, this is a prime opportunity to be able to learn and to be able to come to an understanding of what these issues actually are. Cardinal Sean's message really addresses some of the underlying things there, but kind of in this, the death of George Floyd and the death of so many others, and the protests that have risen really do bring to mind the whole issue of racism in our country, the history of it, the current experience of it. It's an issue that touches my life personally in a profound way. Although I'm not Black, but I am a racial minority, and I've experienced racism and discrimination in my own way. And so this does mean a lot to me to be able to talk about this issue. And kind of my encouragement here is for us to take the opportunity to actually listen, because listening is the key thing here. Because we can be, a lot of us possibly have made up our mind already about these issues. But I think the biggest thing we need to do right now is listen, to listen to the experience of others, to listen to what the Lord teaches us about these issues, but most of all to be able to actually listen to the experience of others, to understand these issues in as much as we can. So that is my encouragement. Please, ask the questions to try to understand, listen to one another, because if we're not listening, we can't actually reach a place where we can treat each other with the respect that each other deserves.
So any thoughts from you folks, or any feedback that you'd like to give us on what we're doing, or just how you're doing with this yourself, just how it's going in your own life. I know it's again been very difficult for all of us, but being together is the way that we can address it. When we're together in a positive way, a prayerful way, in a way that helps to build respect. I must say that in the 20 years that I've been in Peabody, we're blessed as a community to be, racially and religiously very diverse in a very healthy sort of way. However, we shouldn't deceive ourselves, into thinking that racism is not an issue, because like a disease, it infects all of us, and it can happen in very subtle sort of ways. So I think this is a moment for us to become more self-aware, as well as culturally. But what I would say is that I think we have something to offer as a city, and I would include the city of Salem, which is also very diverse. But we need to be able, to teach each other how to continue to grow with greater respect for one another. So your ideas are always welcome, and it's something that we continue to deal with.
Just back to Mass, Kathleen Burke said that going to Mass Saturday was great, different, but worth it. So great seeing you all, and receiving was awesome, long time coming.
Great. People have asked us about daily mass, and so Father Kevin and I are working on a survey that we'll send out to you. So you're one of our kind of focus groups, I guess you could say. We're interested in finding out from people who've been going to mass, some people, going to daily mass earlier in the morning, but you who have been participating on our live stream masses, we need to look at our because maybe times that will allow more people to attend mass, either in person, live, or maybe we can continue some of the live stream masses. So our daily mass schedule is something that's still in the works, but we need a variety of voices, including your own. So if you can, shoot us an email or call, let us know your thoughts. As I say, we'll be sending out the survey, and that'll give you an opportunity to let us know maybe mass times that might be appropriate for you. Another thing, just to give you an idea of some things that are coming up. So next Friday, our St. John's School is going to have its closing mass every year. We have a mass. Obviously, it's going to be a virtual mass. So our live stream mass next Friday will probably be from church, because we would like to do it in a setting that we would normally, that our students would be familiar with. And Val Shippen, our new principal, will be there after mass to give just a message to all of our families that are out there. So if you can join us, I know many of you are faithful. All you'll do is just tune in and you'll see us there. Next Sunday, a week from this weekend, is Corpus Christi. And so we were talking today about doing something special at Mass, a Eucharistic procession at the end of Mass. I think we all missed so much the beauty of the Easter, of the Triduum. And part of that is, if you recall, at the Mass of the Lord's Supper on Holy Thursday, we have a Eucharistic procession and adoration. So we're going to include at least some of that element at Mass. So that will be a beautiful way for us, to have time to reflect and honor the presence of the Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. So there are some things like that are coming up. We're, again, always looking for new ways to try to reach out to people and to use the media that we have to get the message out about some of these important things that are happening. So this, again, is why it's helpful for us to hear from you if there's, something that's happening that we need to know about, or some thoughts about what we're doing, keeping in touch.
Someone just asked about there being mass tomorrow at St. John's.
Right, so at St. John's, the mass will be at 8 o'clock and at 10 o'clock in English. There'll also be a mass in Spanish at 11:30 and 7. So for our Hispanic community to know that Father Paul has really been reaching out, because he was concerned that the number of people that would come to one mass might be too many. So he's offering a vigil mass at 7 on today, Saturdays, and then Sunday 11:30 and at 7 o'clock as well. So those masses will be here. And keeping in mind the 10 o'clock mass in English at St. Thomas, and the Brazilian mass, which is now at noontime. For now. You want to share something on that, Father Kevin? So, but
Someone asked about the distribution of palms.
okay, right. Yeah, we have the palms that were blessed. We actually have left them in church, but at St. John's we left them downstairs. We could put them upstairs and maybe put them outside if people wanted to take one home. Needless to say, as all of us know who keep our palms, they dry up. But if you would like to have them, so what's important at both of our churches is that we don't handle things that other people handle. So what we're doing is we are asking people when they come in they can leave their offering. And by the way, when we have combined masses like the 4 and the 8 with both of our communities, there are 2 bags so that your offering can go right to St. John, St. Thomas. Otherwise, we in the past have had to separate those. And by the way, just to keep our counters safe, we keep those bags until like Wednesday or Thursday, because what we know about the virus is that it doesn't live on surfaces like on paper or other surfaces for more than maybe 24 or 48 hours. So we want our counters to be safe. So your offering is there. The hymnals are there, which is, by the way, an opportunity for you. If you take one, you keep it. And so you might enjoy the fact that now that hymnal, you can take it home. You could read over the readings for next week because it has the readings, the prayers of the Mass. So we really want to distribute those. We have a lot of them. We can't keep them in the church. So you can take that with you as you go into the church, and then you keep it with you when you leave. On your way out, you'll see the bulletins. So again, taking a copy of the bulletin. And then if we could put the palms out, you could just simply take one of those home for you as well. So.
Everyone's quiet this morning.
Very quiet.
Coffee hasn't kicked in yet.
Where's Dan today?
Where is Dan?
Oh, Dan, a good question. Right.
He is at a friend's ordination down in Providence, Rhode Island. Priesthood or deacon?
Priesthood.
So a good friend of his, a classmate of his, is being ordained a priest today in the Diocese of Providence. His family is from Vietnam, so a lot of his family was not able to make it over. So Deacon Dan is one of his 3 guests.
But he's safe and well. But thank you for asking. Jeremy, did you have?
Yeah, I was gonna say with everything, just kind of along the lines of what people have been saying, with everything that's been going on, we've been seeing a lot of shadows in our country, in our history, and in ourselves. And to really face them, it's really important to remember that God is with us sort of when we see these things, and that even the darkness, which we can't see through, is very clear, is bright to him. And this weekend, the Mass this weekend is all about who God is, who is with us. And I mean, I think the saints can be a great example of learning to understand the difference this makes. A new saint, Cardinal Newman, who was just canonized in the fall, he was very devoted to this prayer from the early centuries of the Church called the Athanasian Creed, which is a very beautiful expression of faith in the Trinity. And even a very ancient saint, St. Patrick, wrote the Lorica prayer, which again is a beautiful expression of faith in the Trinity, who is always with us. And I personally fond of both these prayers, but there's a lot we have to learn, and we learn by listening, and we listen to who God is, and we listen to each other to realize who each other is.
Another thing that I'll be writing about, and a number of people in our parish are already beginning to pray for, is the year of the Eucharist. So several months ago, Cardinal Sean introduced a call to us as a diocese to dedicate ourselves to the year of the Eucharist. It was going to start on Holy Thursday, but because of the pandemic, the beginning is now transferred to next Sunday, which is the feast of the body and blood of the Lord. So I encourage you to kind of follow what we're doing, pastor's letters, materials in our parish bulletin, because this is kind of a grace moment. We never know what's happening, but God does. And so I think in his providence, maybe he's given us this moment as a church to identify the gift that the Eucharist is in all of these times. So many people have appreciated just being able to come to church, even though they couldn't come to Mass. They've been making visits, adoration. So we really are going to have a whole year to reflect upon the gift that the Eucharist is, for us to come and to know the love of God. So I encourage you to kind of be tuned in for that, and to see it as an invitation to you to come to know something And I think in its own way, what I was reflecting upon last week, giving communion to those who came, that it's suddenly maybe a realization of how great a gift we had. And like many things in life, we don't appreciate them until we lose them. And so maybe there's a moment now when for us as Catholics to realize what we have and to appreciate it. But to do that, it means going deeper into our faith. So I will explain it to you. I see this first of all as another way for us to encounter the person of Jesus Christ in our lives, someone whose life makes a difference, someone who's inviting us to a relationship 24/7. Then the Eucharist, the Mass, first of all, which is our coming together. And so many people have said missing both the Lord, but also missing the family of faith that we are. So how important that is, and maybe spending some time this year learning more about the Mass. When we've done those teaching Masses, those have always been very fruitful for people to understand what's happening. In that regard, at St. John's, because of the work that we're doing, we'll be teaching more about even the church where we celebrate the Eucharist, why we're doing the things that we are, some of the beautiful symbols of faith that are part of our tradition, part of what we're restoring in the church. And then, of course, ultimately, the question we always have to ask ourselves is, what difference does it make in our lives? And the mission of the church. I mean, we need to be a missionary church, not a church that goes out to foreign countries to bring the faith, but we need to be missionaries to each other. And in fact, some of the people who are going to be participating already in the year of the Eucharist are called missionaries because their mission is to pray for the success of this. So just to give you a little heads up, kind of invite you to read what we're proposing and to be able to enter into this really very, very special time that we're calling the year of the Eucharist.
A couple of questions. Carol was actually wondering what the plans were for those who do the counting. The room we have always used is not big enough for 4 and not properly, you can't physically distance in there.
Right. Well, the collection has been pretty small. So this past week, I know Tracy just took some time and did it herself. If we're back to the point where we need teams to do it, we were talking about that in terms of a space like there's the conference room here at St. John's, and there's the media room over at St. Thomas where the counters could be seated at a little distance from each other. So we're going to kind of watch that and see what the need is. But again, even though, we know it'll be safe for you to count the money, you're still in a room with each other. So wearing masks and being able to keep the safe distancing is something that we need to look at. But as we see the need for that, but the reality is, there wasn't an awful lot of money to count last week. But on the flip side of that has been, and I've said this before, the incredible generosity, because so many of you have been sending in your envelopes. More people than ever have signed up for online giving. And I can't tell you how really helpful that is. The parishes that I know of that have been able to sustain themselves without Mass, many of them are people who have parishioners who have signed up for online giving. So I'll make a little pitch for that, because that way, you take the time to determine what you want to give, and it's there, and it's something that we can count on. So thank you for your generosity. And as we see the need for the counters, we'll come up with a plan that will enable people to be safe. Good question. Thank you.
Not a question, but a comment. I'll let you guess who it is. Hold on. Working, but just want to say love you, Jojo. And she appreciates the live masses. let's say, oh, just people were commenting that the online giving was very convenient.
And I think, again, your feedback on that. I know when we first rolled it out, some people were a little bit confused. And even the mechanisms, I mean, I'm not a computer genius at all, but I know sometimes there are glitches. And so I think it's set up now so that it's really pretty simple. I had gone in before, I went in again to update things. And that's the other feature. You can go in and you can change that. So, as you look at your the things that you want to give to, because the online giving will present to you not only the weekly and monthly giving to your parish, but it also includes the special collections. And so if you want to give to a particular cause, because I know that people have particular things that they want to give to in the course of the year. So the online giving, I think one of the features of it is that you sort of sit down and really it's planned giving. So you think about what your means are, you think about what you want to do, how you would like to do it. And so it's more intentional in some ways, maybe than the envelopes, which, I know you can just sort of, last minute, you see it there, or maybe you don't, you just come to church and you realize, oh, there's a second collection today. So I really emphasize taking the time to do it. But what's good is I think that, to the point that was made, I think the online giving is really pretty easy. It's set up that way. If you have any kind of a problem with it, let us know and we'll help you to do that. But it's a blessing.
I just included the link in the comments. But I was curious, is there a separate online giving for St. John and St. Thomas?
Whichever
Right.
parish website you go to has it's not, what is the company we use?
Yeah, one is called We Share and the other, I forget.
Yeah, there's the logo of the company we use is somewhere on the main page of each parish's website. And so when you click there, it allows you to register for
Right, so it'll tell you which parish you're giving to. So you want to go on whichever one says St. John's or St. Thomas. So obviously that contributes to your parish. You probably know about the second collections. So those all go to the same purposes, with the exception of second collections that are specifically for a parish, like a building collection or something like that. But all of what we call national collections, the collection for the church in various parts of the world, Catholic University, last Sundays was the seminaries. You help these guys. So those national collections all go together. So, it wouldn't matter which parish you were giving to, but it is important to support your own parish. So going in, clicking in on the planned giving, the online giving for your parish is important, but it will say it there.
And someone asked if you do use the online giving, should you cancel the envelopes?
Yes, you can do that, because number one, it's costing us to print and send you the envelopes. Online giving really means, you no longer need to do that. Now, people have asked about, if you use online giving, of course, right now, if you're not coming to Mass, it doesn't matter, but people feel a little funny about coming to church and not putting something in the collection. But I found most people, we actually have like vouchers or little slips, so that if you felt you wanted to put something in, and I think some people are still getting the envelopes because they like the idea of putting in there. So if you want to stay with the envelopes and then check off, online giving, then that's perfectly fine, just to be able to, have something to sort of show that you're contributing to the church. So if you want to continue the envelopes, but if you're online giving, it's going directly to us, and it's, as I say, it's a very convenient, very intentional kind of way. The envelopes, as I say, think about it. If you cancel the envelopes, that saves us the money of sending them out. On the other hand, if you want to have the envelope, be able to bring it to Mass, just to be able to contribute to the offerings, then you're certainly welcome to do that too.
How do you actually cancel getting the envelopes?
I think just let us know, call parish and leave it to the parish secretaries because they have to notify the company. And just so you know, because sometimes people sign up for envelopes and they expect them to arrive, they're sent out, in batches. So you may continue to get envelopes for a little while, but call either parish. If there's no one there, just leave a message with your name and phone number, and they'll call you, and then they'll notify the envelope company. But it may take a little while, so you may get envelopes for a while before the cancellation shows. Any other questions or thoughts out there?
Let's see, I think we covered everything. Looks like all is covered.
Okay. Well, it's great talking to you. Again, pass the word to your neighbors and friends about what we're doing. If you feel it's safe for you to come back to church, we'd love to see you. If not, remember it's okay to stay at home. It's important to be safe. And again, if you have thoughts or ideas or questions or suggestions, please let us know and keep in touch. Laurie, thank you. Laurie was behind my iPad last Sunday. Thank you for the camera person so that we could live stream it. And again, I thank all of the people who've been great. They've been the safety guides and the cleaners, people who come in and disinfect the church. These have been really wonderful volunteers, and they've made it possible for us to feel safe. So on your behalf and mine, I thank all of those people. So stay safe, stay well, and keep in touch, okay?
Sounds
Take care.